Hello there and welcome back to another edition of a Silly Car Showdown. Today we are taking a look at this 1946 Ford Super Deluxe station wagon. This car comes courtesy of the Scotian Racer because of course it does. I mean, I can't blame him. I love the Woody wagon. I'm a huge fan of big old American boat wagons, as you probably know. And this one certainly fits the bill in my book, and it's even better because, well, part of it is made of wood. This was a thing car manufacturers did for a fair old while for some reason. Wagons have always been associated with wood. I think the last people to ever do it was Buick in the 90s. Actually, no, I think that Caprice wagon might have also had wood grain. Anyways, yeah, the point is, part of it is made of wood, and it's from 1946, and it's very old, and it's going to get a very big engine in it, because Scotian has requested a specific engine swap with this Woody wagon. And the engine we're using is the 5.8 litre V8. This is, of course, from the 2013 Shelby GT500, and that means we get 662 horsepower currently. Of course, as usual, we cannot swap the drivetrain, but we can stick some twin turbos in it. I'll see what the supercharger makes and then we'll come back to that. Right. Also another issue, you can't use any Forza Aero. So, I mean, we can use some surfboards. I'm sure they'll provide some downforce. We could also remove some of the chrome on the back, which we won't do because the car kind of looks weird when you take chrome off it. Right, important stuff now, tyres. Yes, and does this come... Oh, it does have the vintage racing compound. Completely useless tyres. But no, we're going to want the normal Horizon race tyres. 245s on the front. Okay, I'm fine with that. And not so fine with that. I'd kind of like bigger tyres on the rear if I could, but there you go. I'd also like the ability to get some spacers on this so I can at least make some more room for it. Anyways, at least PI-wise, we're slightly stronger than the Acura was at this point, although that is to be expected. Of course, this is rear-wheel drive, which is a more... Oh, God. Hold on. There we go. Slam it. There we go. Perfect. This thing kind of looks like a custom lowrider wagon now, which is pretty cool. Roll cage. You can tell the car has a lot of rigidity when the roll cage puts the PI up that much. Right. Power. Here we go. Time to watch the PI go up almost none at all, as this chassis cannot take what we're about to do to it pretty much. 103 horsepower, put that in, put that in, put that in. Supercharger adds an extra 43 horsepower, 31 from that, put in that, and put in the flywheel. How much power are we making? 967 horsepower. 817 foot-pound of torque and 3,128 pounds of weight. How much power do we make when we put the turbos in it? Let's go ahead and do... Well, okay. Good start. We're already making more power than when I upgraded the supercharger. So let's go ahead and... We're going to make 1,000 horsepower, aren't we? 1,041 horsepower, 889 foot-pound torque, 3,149 pounds of weight. S1 class, 838 PI. So it's got double the power of the Acura. It doesn't weigh all that much more than the Acura did, yet it's lower in PI. It's gonna go well, this, isn't it? I'm expecting death. I've got to be perfectly honest. Anyways, of course, to find out whether this thing kills me, the perfect place to test it is, of course, the Silly Car Showdown track, which comes complete with Blizzard. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so here we are at our Silly Car Showdown course with our Woody wagon, which certainly looks more like it should be on the beach, not in the middle of a blizzard. Anyways, it is going to get 5 laps to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is, well, it is another Ford. It's the Ford GT40 EcoBoost. That's at a time of 146.039. This car unlikely to beat that. Much like last time, I think the best thing this car can hope for is IMP 153.350. But that remains to be seen. How? Whoa! Okay, I see what's gonna happen here. This thing's just gonna be a wanker to me, isn't it? Right. First thing to note, my goodness gracious me, this thing has the longest gear ratios I've ever seen. It does 76 miles an hour in first gear. Usually with cars like this, you'd expect the race gearbox to be prepped way too short, but in this car, it is way too long. Also, I forgot to turn the skills HUD thing off. That'll be the thing that I mentioned and then just don't bother turning off. I don't know how much it bothers people, it showing up there. I guess it sort of gives you an indication of how bad a car is to drive by how many sort of skills flutter up. Oh god. Yeah, it's just sort of never really pleased with going in either or any direction. It'll just sort of pick a direction and you'll head that way, and then a millisecond later it'll decide I want to go another direction. I mean, actual speed is good. I'll give it that. I don't know how much we'll be able to get down towards the Glasgow Smile. We'll have to check next time. Yeah, it's not good. No, there is one thing it is not. I mean, admittedly, again, was not quite expecting this beached whale wood thing to be a particularly great handling car. Maybe I was expecting more than this though, because yeah, it's not good. So these gear ratios are absolutely atrocious. Like, I guess they're fine because you can get more power down, but not really. Because I mean, let's face it, it's got 1,041 horsepower, and this car had what, 100-ish stock. So yeah, you're sort of either way it's dealing with more power than it ever in a million years should be dealing with. I think it's just it got a 201.161. Well, at least it's quicker than the Unimog, which is a start, I guess. It feels like the complete opposite of the RSX we had last time. The RSX was really very good at the technical sections, and this thing is, I mean, probably to be expected, absolutely bloody appalling at those sort of sections. But for the higher speed stuff, it does better with, as we sort of once again drift outwards some more. I think that might be the best entry into that corner, is just to put the power down so you end up drifting. Yeah. Alright, Glasgow Smile, how much speed can we get? 144, could get more than that. It's probably about on pace with something like the Imp. I mean, straight line speed wise, I think it's quicker than the Imp. It wouldn't surprise me if it's sort of up there with the Cayman. I don't think it's as quick as the GT40 though. I mean, the GT40, granted it was also very, very old, but the GT40 does have at least some semblance of aerodynamics. This does not. As we try and rotate ourselves through the city streets a bit more. Yeah, it's not good. It is not good. Also, I love it how it's only got one brake light for some reason. I didn't realise you could get away with one brake light in 1946, but apparently you could. Unless there's some issue with this model. Okay, right, our first true flying lap is a 158.464. So we're about 5 seconds off of the Imp. Right, let's try and get it more composed through this section. I feel like this is where we're losing the most amount of time, just because it wants to go sideways the entirety through the section. It either wants to go arse backwards through that section, or do that, understeer into walls, which is not particularly great around this historic city. As we get a little bit more of a slide. Oh god. Take out a fence. Take out some bicycles. I know I've done that a lot during this series, but yeah, more than usual. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, as I said, I don't think my surfboard is particularly supplying me with much of the downforce, which is a shame. I thought that'd be a foolproof tactic. 148 miles an hour and you'll miss your braking point. So there you go, that's how much you can get through there. That's also incredibly terrifying because you can't actually tell whether you've missed checkpoints there or not. And you know what this game's like about checkpoints? It's a random chance. Checkpoints usually, as to whether you hit them or not. Anyways, as we get some more sideways going on, it's not too bad going through the switchblade. It's more coming out of the switchblade. It seems to have some issues. This is a quicker lap though. This is definitely a quicker lap. I don't know if it's imp quicker, but it is definitely a cleaner, quicker lap. Ooh, gonna get a bounce on through there. Come up the swishy bit of the track. It's just all the elevation is not helping the tail on this car either, because it does want to break out. 155.854. It's not bad. It's not great though. Ooh. And this first section is completely messed up. Yeah, it's terrifying. That first section is just terrifying because you basically go up that corner. It only just takes that, and then you've got to try and, while it's not sliding, slow down for the next few bits and try and work it out. It's just not great. Just not great. Ooh. Anyways, the power is down. The traffic lights are down as well. Once again, ooh, that was a better entry to there. I think it's just a case of how much can I drift this car at this point. But yeah, quick. It's hard to really criticise the Woody Wagon all that much because honestly, there's only one way this is going to turn out, and terrible is that obvious way. I don't know how much Forza Aero would have helped this car. I mean, this is the first car I think we've had so far where the use of Forza Aero really probably would have been quite beneficial to this car. It definitely to keep that rear end in check and also to sort out some of those front steer, understeer issues. But you know, there's not. I just don't know how much of an effect it would have had. It's just not a good handling car either way. If you're looking to build a handling build at all, the Woody Wagon certainly is not a great place to start. Maybe for lower class racing, sure, the Woody Wagon might not be a bad choice, but for, you know, most sort of things, it's usually better to pick a different car. Unless you want to do it in style, of course, in which case the Woody Wagon is a fine choice. Right, as we come on to the final lap, try not to cock up the Glasgow city centre bit. Oh, sorry, Edinburgh. We're actually not doing too bad through the... Right, I hopefully don't get a load of understeer. The car tries it, but turned in early enough for it to not have an effect. Come off the throttle for this bit. Please don't smash into that bridge support. Trying to... there you go. Trying to tackle the car on the way out of there. Not my idea of fun. Also, another thing that may have helped this car, bigger tyres. I'm not sure if they would have made a huge amount of difference, but they would have certainly helped this car a little bit, one would imagine. As we rush down here, 148 miles an hour. So, it's not bad. As far as pace down there, it's one of the quicker cars we've had. But again, as I said previously, you know, the one thing the Woody Wagon doesn't need, I mean, you know, it's great to give it accolades for speed, but speed is not everything, as it's proving. I think this is going to be a quicker lap. I think it's going to be close between it and the Imp. But, whether this will beat the Imp or not. The Imp's definitely a better driving car. It wouldn't surprise me if this gets the edge on it purely because of its straight line potential. Granted, the Imp also had a couple of issues with going slideways all the time, so... Anyways, as we round the final corner... Come on, a final corner? Well, I guess it's the final, one of the final corners. As we round the actual final corner, ooh, it's going to be close, try and get that power down, a 153. 8:13 means that it does not beat the Imp. 0.5 seconds off. I mean, in all honesty, it's probably not deserving to beat the Imp. It's just not a quick car. It's not a nice driving car. It's not a good car. Don't drive it. I don't recommend it. Unless you want to go for style points, of course. But yes. The Ford Woody, or as I'm going to be calling it, the Ford Woodwanker. Or the Woody Wanker. I'm not sure yet. You'll find out. It goes into 6th place with a 1:15.813, 0.5 seconds off of the boosted Hillman Imp, 200 bit seconds off of the Speed 12, but of course, most importantly, it does of course beat the Unibog by about 14 seconds, so at least it got to beat something, but yeah, the Woody Wagon is not a great vehicle, much to the surprise of absolutely no one. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching this edition of Silly Car Showdown. Of course, if you would like to request a car for this series, you can do so in a couple of ways. Down below in the comment section on either my channel's version of this video or the HG Central video, or more conveniently for me, you can do it in my public Discord server. There's a link down below in the description on my channel for that, and that's just an easier way to do it. Of course, max 2 cars per person. Also, I forgot to mention this in the last episode, there is now actually a list, so at least you're actually able to see what other people have requested, and you can request accordingly. Other than that, one other thing I'd like to mention, some people were sort of asking about, you know, requesting cars. What can they request, what can't they request? The answer is you can request pretty much anything. The super expensive stuff I don't have, but I can get, depending on how much sort of people want to see that. And, you know, stuff like the Unicorn, the rear cars, I do have quite a few of those at this point, so if you want to see one of those, then those are also pretty okay for me to do. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a farewell.